Hi, friends. I'm Terry Maggart, your favorite self-published author, and welcome to 2026. It's already started off to be quite a year, as in weird and action-packed and everything. But one of the things that has increased, certainly since 2025 already, is lawsuits, scams, and things that negatively affect all of us in the community, both readers, producers, writers, editors, everyone. I am frankly stunned at the amount of scam emails that I get from an array of people who promise to make me into a superstar. And I don't think it's going to happen. So I delete as fast as I can. But there is an issue that we have to move on to, and that is a giant $1.5 billion lawsuit about Anthropic. I am involved in it in the sense that they borrowed quite a few of my books. I found 81 titles, I think, that the breakdown of it goes as follows. There was a scam website that pirated an unnatural number of books. I have no idea how many, but they stole basically everything that they could. They stripped them down, the files, uploaded them to their own website, and then used it for nefarious purposes. Well, Anthropic came along and used that database of stolen books, pirated books, to train their LLM, their AI. I've done a video about AI. AI is here to stay. We can certainly argue about that. Everybody has an opinion. I have my own, and I just sort of keep my head down and keep working and see what I can do, knowing that AI will be a presence in my career moving forward. But with that being said, Anthropic folded. Anthropic made the decision, and I wasn't privy to the conversation, but they decided that they were going to fold. They were going to admit perhaps some degree of guilt and compensate people. Now, two things are going to happen, and if you've ever been involved in a mass lawsuit, you know, number one, a lot of the money isn't going to necessarily go to the people who were harmed. You're also going to get a lot of pushback on whether or not you were actually harmed. The idea is, well, you know, pirating isn't bad. You know, it's a victimless crime. There's no actual loss or things like that. There is a lot to be said about that. My personal feelings are that there is certainly a victim, and there are multiple victims, not just the creators and the editors and the people that rely on books and the book community for their livelihood, but all of the readers, because what ends up happening is, in a response, authors and their teams are required to make changes in how we distribute books and who we give books away to and who's in our beta teams and things like that. And it sucks. That's the only way to put it. It is an unpleasant experience, first of all, to be stolen from. Secondly, to have to change any kind of relationship with people who have been with me since the very beginning, people that are real life friends of mine. We know each other. We've been around each other for 10 and 12 years. Some of these relationships have gone on, and these are trusted people. And people outside of the Fokker circle of trust have come in, inserted themselves into the process, and are forcing us to make changes. I absolutely hate it. I don't like it. I still have to decide what kind of changes I'm going to make because I trust my friends, and I have good people around me and good people who've helped me produce all of the books that I have in my 15-year career. With that being said, I wonder how this is going to change things moving forward on a much larger scale, and that is it going to sour people with their relationship with AI? Can you trust anybody? And what I'm talking about are these giant corporations who regard me as a little typist to produce content by which they can sharpen their knives and create greater profit. It's a really unpleasant situation to be in. It is not the way that I wanted to start out 2026. All I wanted to do was write more great books, connect with people, and keep my career going in much the same fashion that it had been for all these past years. But this is going to require a response from me and a lot of other people. I don't think we're at a point where we can ignore this, and obviously it can't be ignored because the settlement is $1.5 billion. Now, I'm not getting $1.5 billion. I don't think I'll get a dollar. But the point is that with that kind of money floating around out there, you're going to see a flurry of activity. So, where does this take us from here? Well, like I said, it certainly changes the dynamic of how we will be distributing books and giving advance review copies and things like that. It also just tells you to choose your friends wisely, develop relationships based on trust and authenticity, and make sure that you're not a digital creation. And by that, I mean, I'm not a digital amalgamation of things. I'm me. I am the guy who lived all these decades that writes cheese jokes and no pants jokes and things like that. I don't want to become somebody different, but I find it fascinating that we as creators have been painted into a corner and have to start asking some uncomfortable questions like, who's going to get all this money? Why has this been decided in this manner? Why did I find out about it after the fact, ex post facto? I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I can read, and I didn't learn anything until the dust had so-called settled. That's deeply troubling to me. I'm going to definitely take a much more active hand on the tiller moving forward regarding intellectual property rights and things. I don't think that we can sit by and watch this happen without actively participating in it. With that being said, I genuinely don't know what to do next because I've never been in this situation. I never anticipated having AI muscle its way into my life in this manner. I never anticipated being forced to respond to somebody stealing dozens of my books and using them for their own purposes without permission, without consideration. And it raises a really uncomfortable question for me down the river, which is, what's going to happen to all of the things, all of the beautiful things that we love, the stories and everything? How long can you protect them from being used in a manner that you don't want? How long can you stop them from being reinterpreted or recreated or degraded in a way? Not everybody has good intentions for your things, the things that you've created and the things that you've loved and nurtured over the years. And I've got to think about it. I've been thinking about it for a couple months and I still don't have any clear-cut answers. I do know this. I feel good about the people that are in my circle. I feel very, very good about the people that I consider friends, the people that I consider my authentic allies who've been with me since the very beginning. They are still my allies. They are still my friends. I still trust them. And if nothing else, I think I trust them a little more now. And I'm kind of thankful for that. So if nothing else, this has all been a catalyst. It brings about change, but it can certainly bring about some positive change. And it'll certainly bring about action. Whether or not that's the kind of action that these giant corporations want, I don't think it will be. So once again, thank you very much for being here. Stop on by and join us at the Cosmic Cantina on Facebook, because that's our new group that we've got going. It's a lively area. We call it a lifestyle group with a reading problem, and I would love to have you there. As ever, thanks very much for being here. Cheers.